New York City, 4:58 in the morning, a time when the world hasn't fully woken up and the truth still hides in the dark. On the 43rd floor, where power sleeps above the city, the Ashford Okafor penthouse stands silent. 4,700 square feet of silence, marble, art, wealth beyond imagination, and yet not a single trace of warmth. And within it, she moves. Evelyn Carter. She does not switch on the lights. She never has to. To them, she is invisible. But invisibility is not emptiness. It is access. And Evelyn Carter has had access for 23 years. She knows this house better than its owners. Every sound, every step, every lie hidden behind a routine. For 23 years, she was only the help. But in silence, something else was being built. And no one in that house ever saw it coming. By 6 in the morning, the penthouse begins to wake. Not all at once, in layers. First, the kitchen, the heart of the house. Every plate placed exactly where it belongs. Every cup prepared to expectation. Every detail arranged by hands no one notices. Dominic reads the Financial Times. His father prefers The Guardian. Mrs. Ashford Okafor never reads either at breakfast, but she expects them to be there. Some expectations become laws when wealth repeats them long enough. At 6:14, Adaze Ashford Okafor arrives. 61 years old, beautiful in the way only wealth and discipline can sustain. A woman who walks through every room as though it belongs to her, because it does. The coffee is perfect, exactly 83 degrees, the temperature Adaze requested 9 years ago, a detail Evelyn never forgot. But perfection is not always enough. Sometimes criticism has nothing to do with the coffee. She takes the coffee, she leaves the room. No thank you, no acknowledgement. Nothing unusual, nothing new. At 7:45, Dominic arrives. 36 years old. Successful. Respected. The kind of man whose confidence is carefully maintained, like the expensive suit he wears every morning. The shirts are clean. The task is complete. The answer leaves no room for correction. And for a moment, Dominic almost seems disappointed. Then comes the question, is my father awake? Something flickers across his face. Not fear, not concern. Something colder. And then it is gone. At 5 minutes past 8, another visitor arrives. New eyes, new assumptions. The house has a way of teaching people how to see. Part of the furniture, that was the phrase, repeated often enough that they began to believe it. A fixture, an object, something that existed without thoughts, without memory, without importance. Furniture does not listen. Furniture does not remember. Furniture does not understand what it hears. But Evelyn Carter does. She listens, she remembers, and after 23 years, she knows far more than anyone in this house realizes. Far more. By 10:30, the penthouse settles into its midday rhythm. The rush of the morning has passed, the routines have been completed, and the house begins to breathe differently. Adaze has left for lunch.
Dominic has locked himself inside the office. And Zara remains the exception. The only one who remembers that Evelyn Carter is a person. Kindness is rare in this house. Perhaps that is why it feels so noticeable. Zara has never learned the house's habit of looking through people. She still sees them. It lasts only seconds. A smile, a joke, a moment of ordinary humanity. But sometimes the smallest kindnesses carry the greatest weight. Then comes a sound, a door opening, a simple thing, and yet some moments announce themselves before they arrive. Emeka Ashford Okafor, 70 years old, a man whose authority does not need to announce itself, a man who fills a room simply by entering it. And then the look. Not employer and servant, not master and servant, something older, something deeper. The recognition shared by two people carrying the same secret. Not a request, not an instruction, not a complaint, just 4 simple words. How are you, Evelyn? The question nobody else ever asked. He nods. She answers, and the moment ends. At least, that is what it appears to be. He always asked. For 23 years, inside a house where nobody else truly saw her, he always asked. For years, she thought it was guilt, then obligation, a responsibility carried by a powerful man. But standing there, with her hand against cold marble, a different truth begins to emerge. The look, the question, the pause before he walked away. And suddenly, it feels less like concern and more like farewell. I used to think it was guilt. Then I thought it was obligation. Now, I think it was something else entirely. I think it was goodbye. Thursday arrived the way important days often do. Quietly, without warning, without ceremony. Just another evening, just another dinner, just another day. Until it wasn't. The Hendersons arrived at 7. Wealthy, confident, the kind of people who move through the world expecting every door to open, and usually finding that it does. Evelyn served, as she had served for 23 years. Plates arrived on time. Glasses remained full. Nothing spilled, nothing delayed, nothing imperfect. Dominic performed flawlessly. The future heir, the perfect son, the polished face of the family empire. Adeza ruled the room like a queen, and Zara watched, as she always did. But Emeka was different, quieter, more distant, as though he were listening to something beyond the room, something no one else could hear. Then it happened. A glance, a single moment across a crowded room, and in his eyes, Evelyn saw something she had never seen before. Relief. Not relief from pain, not relief from fear. The relief of seeing the one person she trusted and knowing she was there. 20 minutes later, the silence came. Not a shout, not a crash, something worse. The silence of people realizing everything has changed. Then came Zara's voice, sharp, fearful, no longer composed, no longer hiding what she felt. The scene assembled itself instantly, like a nightmare already waiting, every piece exactly where it was always going to be. And then Zara looked at Evelyn. Not at her father, not at the doctors, at Evelyn. A look she would remember for years. She didn't think. She didn't hesitate. She simply crossed the room and took his hand. 4 words, only 4, small enough to disappear into the air, powerful enough to change everything. And no one else in that room would ever hear them. He looked at her one final time, and then he was gone. Emeka Ashford Okafor died at 8:47 on a Thursday evening, surrounded by family, surrounded by wealth, surrounded by people who believed they knew him. And with his final breath, he chose to speak to me. I have carried those 4 words every day since. But that night, standing in that dining room, feeling his hand grow cold in mine, there was only one thought. It has begun.
But what exactly had begun? Why did Emeka choose me? Episode 2 coming soon.